defining your target profile, objectives, and goals. So first off, defining your customer. What I want you to do is outline your customer avatar. And what I've done is I've provided a worksheet for you with a number of questions specifically to help you define an avatar for your customer, meaning a specific set of commonalities that you find across all of your customers embodied in one specific profile that you can put a face and a name to in order to really define who your ideal customer is. Now, when you've created that customer avatar, you're going to have a bunch of information about who that customer is, what their fears are, what their pains are, what they're frustrated about in day-to-day life. And based on that profile, you're going to be able to go out there and do some research. So you're going to have to go and figure out where you can find them, what online communities, what offline communities. Are they available on Facebook groups? Can you get in touch with them through specific Twitter hashtags? Can you find them in specific Google Plus communities? Wherever you can find them, I want you to list them out into an Excel file. And then you're also going to have another list there of where you can reach them most effectively. So if you can find them really often on Facebook groups, chances are you'll be able to advertise to them on Facebook relatively easily. Similarly, if you can find them in specific business association communities, you can probably also target them through LinkedIn ads. Or you can target them through newspaper ads or specific location-based ads. Basically, I want you to create a list of where you can reach them most effectively. So meaning where you can get the best bang for your buck and more than likely, based on an educated guess, get an ROI if you were to advertise in those channels. Then I want you to build a list of common questions or topics you see in the communities you've researched. You're going to use these for the topics that you can use in your backlog for content later on. So as you go through the communities, if you see certain questions that have a lot of comments or have a lot of traffic to them or have a lot of views or shares, those are great topics to write down because they may be of use later when you go to reference back and try to build out your content marketing strategy, the plan for the next 90 days. Next up, set your objectives and goals. So once you have your avatar defined, now it's time to look at what are the goals of this campaign? What do you want to achieve with content marketing? So I want you to define the objectives of your campaign in the same way you would outline your objectives and goals for a Facebook ad campaign or a Google ad campaign. Basically, why are you using content marketing? Why is this the channel that you're going after? What's your overall goal with the content marketing campaign you're about to run? What are your key KPI goals with content marketing? And how will you achieve these goals? And who will be accountable for each of the tasks, projects, and everything else within the strategy? So when it comes to your overall goals, those are going to be things like, I want to increase the number of leads that are coming into our onboarding sequence that then converts them into customers by 50%. You don't necessarily have to tie a KPI-based goal, but it's good to have a bit of an overall sense of like, this is where I want it to go in the next 3 months, 6 months. Then you're going to have your specific KPI goals. So maybe it's, I want to increase our current organic traffic every single month coming into the site from 1,000 to 6,000 unique visitors. And I want to increase the number of leads that are generated from 50 a day to 200 a day. You want to tie a couple of key KPI goals and make sure they're business oriented, so they're not just vanity metrics around, I want to decrease the bounce rate and get a longer time on site so people are reading all my content. That doesn't necessarily flow into the goal of, I need more leads and I need more customers and I need more free trials and I need more free trial to paid conversions and things like that. Focus on the goals that are directly related to the goal that you're after. So if you're after more free trials, your direct goal is, I want more people signing up to my email list. I want more people going from content into the free trial page. That's a much more specific metric that's influenced by many small metrics, but that's the overall metric you're after. So you can then break down and reverse engineer, okay, what do I need to change in order to make that happen? And that can go into your content marketing strategy. How you will achieve these goals is basically breaking down what you're going to go out with and we'll go through this when we craft the strategy, but basically defining an outline of, we're going to dedicate these resources, we're going to dedicate this much money as a budget, and the more granular details will be detailed in your content marketing strategy. And then you just want to put who's going to be accountable for each task and each project. So as you build out the content marketing strategy, you want to assign people to that. So if someone's going to be managing content, that may be a separate person than the person who goes out there and does the promotion, and that may be separate from the person who does the writing. It all depends on how your team's structured, but set goals and set objectives and keep people accountable. That way it's going to move forward a lot quicker. Finally, test and pivot. Content marketing is just the same as any other campaign that you're going out with. It's not an exact science. It relies on individual human behavior, which is relatively unpredictable. You can predict it to a certain extent, but there are going to be factors that you can't account for. If it was a mass scale type of thing, which in reality any type of marketing these days really isn't anymore, you can always kind of predict where people are going to go because you can force them to go that way. But it's not an exact science, so testing cycles will be necessary, and they will vary. So for content promotion-based traffic, the testing cycle could be anywhere from 1 day to 10 days, but it's probably going to be more than 3 days in almost every case. For SEO-based testing cycles, you're looking at 2 weeks plus, because you're going to have to see the effect of what you've done on your website on Google and Bing and Yahoo, and they can take up to 2 weeks, maybe even up to a month to make those changes and allow you to see what the impact and the result of that was. Keep track of what you test and work out what works and what doesn't. So this can really just be in an Excel file. I do it in Evernote. Every couple of weeks I'll write down, here's the test that we were doing, here's the hypothesis, here's the result of it, and this is basically, is a pass or fail. If it passed, then cool. I'll put that in another backlog, so I know this is a good thing to try and this is a good thing to test, and I should look at implementing this into our long-term strategy. But keep track of what you're doing. Don't let it fall to the wayside. Especially if you're working with multiple people on a team, do it as like a Google Doc or something. That way you know that people aren't doing stuff that's already been proven not to fail based on your own data. Leverage the data that you have in there later on when you build your second content marketing strategy. So we're going to go through and help you build in this course your first 90-day content marketing strategy. The data that you use and the data that you get from all these tests is what you're able to use next time when you're building out your next content marketing strategy. You're going to know a lot more. You're going to know what works, what doesn't. You're going to be able to leverage that data to have an even more effective strategy for the next 3 months.